My dear viewers, beginning today is the official Alliteration Gaming Patreon and channel members. Throughout my Patreon, we've got quite a few tiers you can check out in order to gain special perks and even commission videos that you'd like to see me upload onto the channel. Every tier includes a shout out on my supporter card at the beginning of all of my videos, along with the benefits of the tier itself. Following that, you can now also join the Alliteration Nation by becoming a channel member on the YouTube side of things. Pledging your subscription here as a member of the channel is going to grant you the same shout out on my supporter card as all the Patreon tiers do, as well as access to the members only channel on my Discord. You'll gain a member badge that will level up as you stay subscribed and access to my exclusive emotes when I stream on YouTube. If you're interested in checking out the Patreon, I'm going to have the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, as well as the link to my Discord should you want to join that as well. And if you want to become a channel member, the big, beautiful join button is front and center on my homepage right here. And if you do decide to support the channel in any way whatsoever, know that I am unimaginably grateful, and I can't wait to provide you with even more top-notch content at my trademark top speed. Additionally, it's time for the return of the referral code. If you're new here and you're just getting into the game, you've got to make an account on the Universe's gaming network. When you're signing up, you can use my exclusive referral code Alliteration to let Jasco know that I brought you on board, which directly supports me and my work. Having an account on the UGN site is going to allow you to sign up for tournaments, participate in events, locate stores that support the game near you, and much, much more. Playing in events and or mailing in pack wrappers is actually going to accrue loyalty points onto your account, which you'll then be able to redeem for exclusive promo cards in the mail for absolutely free. An account on here is an integral part of playing this game, so make sure you sign up and you use my code Alliteration to help me continue doing what I love. I would really appreciate the support. You guys absolutely killed it on the last one with all of the signups, and I am really excited to run it back with you all. Now, let's get on to the video. Welcome, my dear viewers, to another Alliteration Gaming video. My name's Levi, and today we're going to be doing another build a deck. This one comes from my man Thomas Woody over on the Patreon, and he's tasked me with helping him refine a Toga 2 list that he's drafted up recently. Now, the main thing is he didn't want to play Rushing Stab. Thomas is not a one-check gamer, so we've elected to try and create a list without it. So let's jump right in and see what powerful things that we can do even without being an 8-hand size character. Old Woody, my friend, tell me what's shaking with this Toga 2 deck and what you need my help with.
So the biggest thing is I saw Toga, and I like the other Toga cards, like Piercing Needle.
I love Piercing Needle.
Yeah. And, the first one I saw was the Needle Stab and Dual Needle Lunge were really cool. And I figure why not just try and play the Toga. I know her abilities seem a little gimmicky. It might not be as strong as some of the others, but it looked kind of good. So I just kind of started off this was a very baseline, just kind of throw her stuff in there together and then go from there. So that's kind of where I was at. I started off with just putting pretty much all the pieces that had Toga on them as the attacks.
Right.
And then I was like, if you're trying to force momentum and have a whole bunch of it anyway, why not have something big? So I figured, Blue Flame Palm Strike. You know, so when you go for the win, your opponent can't block, just power for 3 for a bunch and just hit them for 1,000,000 damage.
Yeah, no, I love this card.
Close out games.
I love this card in Death Toga, especially because it reveals them and puts one in. So if we find any of our cool Toga cards, we just get to get a free one. Now I will have to break your heart a little bit, my friend, because if you take a real close look at Needle Stab, this card does not possess the death symbol.
Oh man, you are right. Wow.
So
screwed that up then. Well,
so
that's the first cut we can make.
that will be the first cut that has to happen. So
yeah,
really funny story. When I was in Vegas for the HLC and we were getting to reveal most of the cards throughout the stream the whole weekend, they gave us pretty much a whole sheet set to look at of all of the back page cards and a bunch of the other things that hadn't got revealed yet. And one of the things that made me sad the most about this set is I love all symbol weapons. It's one of my favorite packages. But none of the characters that use weapons in the set that got revealed had the all symbol on them. So I was like, well, we're not getting any all symbol weapons this set. And then this Needle Stab was sitting on the back page, and I go, guys, what the heck is this? And they go, well, you see, we really wanted to print a kill card for Hatsume Mei. So we figured since Toga has 2 of May's symbols in the past, evil and life, we can just make a kill card for May and then slap Toga's face on it and justify it being in the set.
I didn't even like pay attention to the fact that symbol wasn't there. I was like, obviously it's a card made for Toga because it came out as part of her kit, and I'm like, I just realized, I was like, it shares 1 symbol with Toga. Like, what the hell?
Yep. Now it shares 2 symbols with Toga 1, but yeah, as far as her constant symbols, yeah, it's only got life in there, which is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, because I teched her like as soon as I saw this, like I put her in Toga 1. She's been working really well in there. But yeah, I didn't notice it shouldn't have the death symbol on there.
It sure does not.
Big brain fart.
Yeah, it's okay though. We can definitely find other ways to kill people inside of our deck. So I guess the first order of business when it comes to this attack lineup, even without that, right, we still got a bunch of these really, really sweet, these Toga ones that do Toga things. You do not have the almighty rushing stab in here. Are you just not a one-check gamer?
That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm afraid of those because I know that because of my luck with RNG and stuff like that, it's always going to come at the absolute worst possible time it could come.
You don't have to break it down to me, man. I am terrified of sub 3 checks. I'm a little baby gamer, and it's definitely not the only way to play. But if that's not your play style, that's not your play style. To be fair, there's a lot of cool big foundations that you want to play, and to skewer your foundation lineup into playing 1 checks, like it becomes a very different deck, quite honestly.
Right.
It does become a very different deck.
As much as that card does, and like it's really, really good, and I really want to do it, but like I can't bring myself to play the 1 checks.
No, don't worry, I'm super down for it. That makes us the challenge of, can we make this character work without the 1 check? And I don't think it's impossible, right? We're going to try and find out is the biggest thing here, because obviously that card's very good. It's even better when you're Toga 2. A lot of people think that. A lot of people like make the Sero tape swing comparison. Like you just can't play Toga 2 without rushing stab. You can't play Sero without tape swing. You know, they bring out too much power in each other. So I mean, we're gonna find out if that's correct or not, right? So the main thing is we kind of just have to. The good part about that card is it's not really the way that we kill people. You know, it makes us an 8-hander, and that's very cool. But it's not really like the kill card. It's not like you won't remove it and say, oh my god, this attack lineup just doesn't work now.
Right.
So given that we do have things like Blue Flame Palm Strike, like we do have, you know, things that can get really big like Piercing Needle, we certainly have ways to fight people, but as far as bombs go, we don't exactly have those yet. So looking at the attacks that I've got down here, I have a couple different things that we can consider to make replacements for all of those things that we just lost. As far as card draw goes, Vile Seizing is very, very generically good.
Yeah, that was kind of like one of the cards I had to the side. I was gonna, once I got a set of them, I was gonna try to find a place to put that. But now that, you know, I am able to just, you know, pull out the needle stab because it doesn't work, that like, Vile Seizing would just fit perfectly in there. You might make my high blocks a little bit, because I'm a little high on the high blocks right now, just by a couple, but nothing too crazy. I mean, the low blocks look bad now because the needle stab was 4 low blocks, so that number goes up.
The needle stab certainly was 4 low blocks. I mean, the other thing that I have here is I also have the Binding Cloth Assault, because all of our really, really cool Toga cards are also weapons, and this kind of represents a little bit of the draw power that we don't have in our deck, since we're not playing Rushing Stab, right?
That's true. Yeah, I like that. That would be a good replacement there. And it's a 4 diff, so, you know, as you go down and put 3-4 attacks on the field, it's not gonna hurt you as bad as having a whole bunch of 5s.
Yeah, it's very efficient flow wise. It's also really, really nice if we play Go for the Win, right? On a Go for the Win turn, it's a 5-speed move. It's very, very good. I've also got some nice, I guess, like bombs, you could say. Wing Nomu just represents a lot of damage in 2 cards in 1. We as a character don't really have a way to damage pump it, so it's not as powerful as it is in other decks, but as far as just like conserving cards, it could be an option to consider. The only thing is Echo costs momentum, and we do want to hang on to at least a good bit of our momentum when we're Toga 2.
For as long as possible. Yeah, that was the reason why I kind of like browsed over this one, because having to anything that got rid of momentum I didn't want to do, except for like the blue flame, as like, a game ender.
Right, as like well, I'm only powerfuling this if it's going to be like maximum worth it, which sometimes a Wing no Mueku, not the most maximum worth it.
Right.
If we were looking, if we were kind of missing ways to close out games, I think Decaying Palm Slam is also just a really, really good bomb on the death symbol. Like, this card just goes hard. It's a 4-low for 7 with powerful 2. It has pitch of momentum for stun 3, basically, and it also might remove itself. Like, doing like dual needle lunge into this is just like so much damage, and then we have nothing in our card pool, and it's like really, really sick. And Cheerful Uppercut is also just a sick 8 damage move. Again, costs momentum, but if we are killing them, it's not too bad. Gives us some really, really nice on-block shenanigans as well. So I guess the main thing is, just like, what do you feel like your attack lineup is lacking the most, especially now that the needle stab is gone?
Honestly, I think it's something around like that. I mean, if we switched out the blue flames for like, Decaying Palm or something like that, I think the binding cloth would help like add a little bit of that extra damage in the mid range, so that you can get to that bomb to where it actually becomes more effective.
Yeah, no, I honestly really, really like the blue flame. I think that's perfectly fine staying in the deck. I think it's one of the things that really, really makes me like Toga on the death symbol, to be real with you. I think it's a very, very, very good card for her. It's a really, really good setup piece. Yeah, I do. I like the Binding Cloth Assault the most. If we're just looking to find some more cards now and kind of help our like 6 hand size problems, we could put in like 3 of the. Oh, I've got to make this the main deck. There it is, boys. We could put in like 3 Binding Cloth Assault, and then maybe even put in like a 3rd Blue Flame Palm Strike.
Yeah.
Then that brings us back to our 20 attacks.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 3 non-weapons at that point, right? So Binding Cloth is still gonna be pretty active most of the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna be able to feel a little bit of that absence in the momentum territory now that we don't have our needle stab.
Yeah. No. I guess I'll just have to get double duty out of needle stabbing from Toga 1.
Yeah. Alternatively, there's actually a lot of really, really cool ways to play needle stab. It's really, really cool with Mr. Compress.
Yes.
I did a build recently on an evil compress that was like all in on playing needle stab a ton. It's very, very cool. So let's look at foundations now. One thing I couldn't help but notice is we've got 4, 6, 10, 14 non-spams, and then the rest of our 45 foundations are, we've got 14 spams, and then the rest of our 45 foundations are non-spams. Building, have you been struggling to build too much in this deck?
Well, I haven't really had too much chance to test it. Like I was saying, this was just like my very first rough draft. I was like, I'm going to put the Toga stuff in there, and then I'm going to just work the numbers from there. So I just put like a 4 of all her stuff. So that none of these are completely set in stone. This is just the very baseline first set deck that I put together. Yeah, okay.
So looking at this foundation lineup, at just kind of at base value, our spams, I'm not really in love with Endanger. I think the card is okay. I think there's better zeros that we can be putting into the death symbol. The death symbol actually has like a really, really, really sick zero lineup. But also, I do just want to put a lot more spams in general into this deck. Otherwise, we are, even without a 1-check in our deck, we're going to be struggling to get some consistent builds off. As far as these 2 diffs go, I don't hate Nervous Habit. I think being able to lose a health for a speed just to like try and make sure that your attack can connect, right? That first one having 3 speed on it instead of 2 as Toga, it's pretty nice. I like.
That's kind of where I was with that. Like, I know, like one of the things that I was very like kind of adamant about with it was trying to make sure that the attack slammed through every time. That's why I went with the 4 go for the win, 4 Nervous Habit. Just trying to make sure that the deck doesn't really function without momentum, so you really have to make sure that those first few slam through.
Yeah, we've definitely got some nice speed. We've got the Glamorous too if they start messing with our speed. The main thing is I don't think we don't have a lot of defensive pieces ourselves. We can make our moves fast, but as far as blocking the rivals' moves, I do worry about that a little bit with our foundation lineup. So if you look, I've got things like struggling with studies here. One of the best defensive pieces in the entire game. One of the biggest things that makes Death able to actually block so much. Something that people, I think, just don't play enough Death Symbol to realize that the Death Symbol can actually block. Like, it actually block like crazy. And a big part of it is both graceful maneuvers and struggling with studies. Also, it's a low block. This should probably just be a 4X inside of our deck. It also protects our other foundations, right? It's got that struggling with studies style ability.
Oh, yeah, so you can flip it instead.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
As far as things that I don't really like, I think we've got a lot of like nice pieces in here, but they don't necessarily need to be like 4X. I think Stalking Our Prey is really good, but to be honest with you, most of this card's value comes from having Rushing Stab. Being able to flip, trade a momentum, and then go tutor your Rushing Stab into momentum, that's where this card really sees value. I think in our deck, it could be more of like a 2X, just to go kind of grab things that we need.
Yeah. Like I said, I figured most of these would end up getting at least trimmed, if not cut altogether. It's just like I wanted a baseline to start with, so I just kind of tossed something together.
Yeah, right on. Up close and personal, I feel pretty similarly about. I think it's also just kind of a bit more of a 2X. This is like a nice tech piece if it comes up, just to help you survive a little bit. You can, go into your turn and say, okay, I'm just going to poke. I'm going to unflip my up close and personal, have that -2 speed waiting, and try and, hunker down going into their next turn. You don't really want to see like a ton of them, especially because you're debuilding yourself with it, right?
Yeah.
So that's also a nice 2 of. In Control, how do you feel about this card? I feel. Did you stuff it in here just because it's a low block? Are we in love with these words?
Part of it was a low block, and the other was just some extra way to either manipulate mine or my rival's speed, and having like a little bit of like dual duty there on that. So that was kind of where I was at with that. Plus, again, I needed to try and get my low blocks up. Yeah,
so I do want to put Struggling With here, which is also a low block. And also, as far as low blocks go, we can put in the almighty Happy-Go-Lucky, which just says that we always have low blocks. So I wouldn't worry too much about zones right now. Honestly, in Control, I don't really think that we need this card. That honestly can just be our Struggling With Studies right there. That can just be our Struggling With Studies. That's a super easy straight cut. So even with those 4 cards we cut before we put in any others there, those 4 ofs we turned into 2 ofs, we're at 65 cards with our 20 attacks. So for the most part, we can kind of look to be just swapping cards out here right now and not necessarily just straight up adding things in, because 20 attacks and 65 cards is a pretty average number. That's pretty much where you want to be.
Right.
Blood Evaluation. This card is nuts. This card is very, 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 very good. I looked down on this card pretty hardcore, and then the first time I actually played with it, I was like, whoa, hang on. I could just keep readying this? I mean, I only get to draw once, but I could just keep readying this? Like, holy cow. And my character just says, like, do any of the abilities in my deck, and I get to ready a foundation and draw a card? Like, holy cow. This card's very, very, very good. I think we could put it as like a 3X, but I wouldn't want to go any lower than that. I think you do want to see this card.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it is a great 3X card. So now we're kind of into a bit more of like the tech territory now. I would still like to get like a little few more spams in here. So let's look at our zeros. We have Tight-Lipped and Surviving the Final. I think both of these cards are just pound for pound better than In Danger. I think these are both.
Surviving the Final.
Surviving the Final, yeah, just a free -1 speed. It's an off-zone block. It's not a very attractive one, but it is an off-zone block. And then Tight-Lipped, on the other hand, is just free damage when we're actually trying to go in, and it's a +1 mid. It's a beautiful card. I think that obviously Enamored has to be 4X because we're Toga. But I honestly think that like Keen Observation is gonna be nice when like Piercing Needle, pops off, and when Blood Transfer pops off. Those are not like necessarily bad places to use that card. If you want to leave it in, I don't hate it, but I think that these 6 slots could easily just become Tight-Lipped and Surviving the Final.
I think I would just keep that as like I would only keep it if I needed to bring my high blocks up to get them a little bit more, but it all depends on like where that number falls at the end.
Right now, we're pretty balanced across the 3 zones, to be honest, 23, 24, 17. So you don't really have to worry about zones too much. Also, like, this is a mid and this is a high, and we can put in a mid and a high. But if you want to keep the Keens in, I'm totally down to keep the Keens in. I think Keen or Surviving the Final, both super valid choices. You have like a couple ways to activate it, so I don't hate it. It's truly up to you if you want that one to stay in.
I mean, as far as it goes, like the Surviving the Final is a little more utility and helping out with the blocks and stuff like that. Where the keen observation, like I don't know where like how many times that 1 point of extra damage is actually going to matter. And if it just happens and you just don't see the cards that can activate it, it's just kind of dead.
It does just kind of sit there. Yeah. So we could take out these endangers, take out these keen observations, get some nice tight lips in. That's such a better mid block than endanger. Such a better mid block. And now we have a little bit more speed reduction as well to kind of protect ourselves from all of our rival attacks, because we did cut a little bit of our speed reduction in our other cards.
Right.
So that puts us at a nice 64 cards. Our block zones are still looking very good. We've now got, let's see, 4, 6, 10, 14, 18 spams in here. So we're still like a little bit light on the spams. As far as like spams that I think could really be in our deck, how do you feel about Refreshing Slice? I think this card's insane.
Refreshing Slice is really good. I didn't set it in there at first because I only had like one of that I pulled out of the stuff that I got. So I was like, I'm gonna wait until I get some and then I'll try it out in there.
That's fair. So, yeah, we can just put that one on the back burner then. I think it's like a really sick 2-of if it does find its way into your deck. I think it's like you see one of it and then it's just gonna put in like the work for a little while.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to play it, but like I said, I didn't want to play it as a 1-of. I wanted to get it at least like 2 to maybe 3, depending on how I felt about it once I tested it a little bit more. I just had to wait until I got my hands on a couple more copies.
I think it's a great little 2-of tech. It's not really something that you want to see like multiple of, because if you have one, you can just keep using it, right? So you don't really need to see several of them. And at 3 copies, like you're more likely to see that one, but you're also likely to see multiple. So I think 2 is like the perfect number for it. So if you end up getting your hands on 2, I think it's a cool 2-of tech. But we've got some really cool techs as well, though. Snack Time, if you're having trouble killing people, son, Snack Time is the card. This thing is nuts.
Yeah, I looked at Snack Time as one of the, when I was, after, like I was telling you the other one, I know it took forever for us to get it together on this, but one of the updates that I did for the list that I had actually had Snack Time in it instead.
Yeah, I do like Snack Time a whole lot. I think Snack Time it's just really good for getting your attacks through, right? Being able to put that 1 speed and stun 1 on your opening move that gets 2 speed from Toga. Just again, it's like the nervous habit syndrome, right? It's just a lot more likely to get in there. I think I do like the nervous habit in here. Probably a little bit more than the glamorous as far as like the speed pump goes, but I also not sure if I want to dig into our low blocks too much, unless we were going to end up fitting Snack Time and Happy Go Lucky inside of the deck.
Well, the other reason why I kind of leaned towards glamorous was like a lot of these foundations flip themselves. So being able to maybe later on in the game unflip a couple of the more key ones that I want to use, that I figured like a 2 to 3 of the glamorous was pretty good.
Yeah, we've got a handful. We sure do have 4 super regeneration inside of our deck. I don't particularly mind that. I think this card's just very good. Just a 2/5 that heals 3 is just good. The block is pretty non-existent, but I mean we kind of have enough high blocks to where that might not be the most relevant thing in the world. How do you feel about Apathetic?
I love Apathetic. I wasn't sure if I didn't want to overload the deck with a bunch of high blocks, and I wasn't sure if, as far as like utility wise, whether Apathetic or Super Regen would be better.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I fell with that. I just figured that at the time with like Brute Strength and Nervous Habit, maybe the Super Regens would be a little bit better to pad the health a little bit more. And that's where I ended up falling on those two, because I was kind of struggling between whether I should go Apathetic or Super Regen.
Yeah, it's hard. Every time that I build like a death or an evil deck, one of the things that I want to start with immediately is like 4 Super Regen and 4 Apathetic, and then I keep making my deck, and then I'm like, oh my god, I have too many high blocks, and these are really bad high blocks, and I need to put all these other integral pieces in my deck. But it's so hard for me to just get off of that fat heal 3 and that just flip anything. I do think that Apathetic is just a really nice control piece, but it also could just be a sideboard card, depending on just if you feel like your rival stage is really interrupting your game plan a lot. Most of the momentum hate in this game doesn't really come from foundations. It mostly comes from like specific attacks, things like instant Shining Flash or Karate Chop, or actions, stuff like the Almighty Capture Evildoers, of course.
Yeah,
so,
and then That's another reason why I kind of like had apathetic to the side is like most of the ways that they're going to interact and interrupt my game plan, I'm not going to be able to interact with anyway. So.
Yeah. If anything, this could just be best for flipping like their speed reduction to make sure our attacks go through. But we can also just play like a ton of speed pump to negate that issue almost entirely.
Yeah.
But it could just be a sideboard card for you. So going back to kind of getting our speed up, I think Snack Time is a very good option. And now I also have got Mastermind's Apprentice here. Have you played with this card at all inside of set 4?
I have not.
This card is crazy good. This card is really, really good. It is basically frozen and release fused into one baby of a 2 difficulty foundation, removing a committed foundation to have them check against a 6. They'll either check a 5 and commit 1, so you got to stun 1, or they'll fail and you'll get 2 speed for removing a foundation, which like both of those are really, 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 really good exchange rates. If you're looking to pump speed, I think this card probably just does it better than Nervous Habit.
Yeah, and you don't lose a health for it either.
You do not lose the health for it. It's got the same block mod, the same difficulty, the same check. Everything else is the same. I think this card's really, 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 really good.
That's very true.
Yeah. I think multiple Nervous Habit on your board is a little bit better, especially when you've got a lot of health and you're really going for the kill. But just finding like one Mastermind's Apprentice around the mid game is just going to kind of set you up. Also, it helps keep you out of deadlock, which we don't have a ton of ways to do aside from brute strength inside of the deck right now.
I wonder if like a 2-2 split on the Masterminds and the Nervous Habit would be good.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I like that.
So
and
that
then,
way, if you get one of each out, then you could be okay depending on whatever the situation that may come.
Yeah, you get like the best of both worlds, and then you also get to play around with both, and then maybe you end up finding that you like one a lot better than the other. Player preference is like a massive thing in this game.
Yeah.
So basically, before we move on with our foundations, I think I would just like to get a couple more spams in here, and kind of going back to Snack Time and Happy Go Lucky. Our zones do not look bad right now, so we don't have to take that into account too much going from here. How married are you to the glamorous?
Not completely. Like I said, the biggest thing there for me was with the original setup, there was like a lot of cards that flip themselves, foundations that flip themselves, so I wanted that to kind of help me out in the later game. But with some of those getting cut out, honestly, like I could see just pulling those out because I would very much like to have Snack Time in the deck.
Yeah, Snack Time is very, very good. It's very, 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 very good. We could take out those 2 glamourouses, put in a couple Snack Times, and then kind of see where that puts us. So it's at 64 cards now. Our low blocks are only 15 now, so we could try to get Happy Go Lucky in here, but it might be a little tough. I'm very into like everything going on in our foundation lineup right now. I think if we were, that puts us now at 4, 8, 12, 16, 18, 20 spam. So we have like an even split right now, which is not bad. I think Shock Absorption probably doesn't need to be at a 4x. I think this could probably be like a fine 2x. It is very convenient speed reduction, but it's not something that we want to like use like crazy, right?
Right, yeah.
I think it could be like a cool 2x, and then maybe, let's see, we could cut like 1 super regen.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because we're still kind of. It doesn't really affect our high blocks any because they're a little high on those anyway, and most of the time you're not going to get more than 1 or 2 super regions out anyway.
Yeah, then we could just put our 4 Happy Go Luckies in and just call it a day with our stage there. Brings our lows to a very nice 19, and of course Happy Go Lucky is like, you can even play like skewered low lineups with Happy Go Lucky because it's just going to find you your free low blocks.
Yeah.
Cards.
You only ever need to have one of them. You just keep getting it over and over.
Yeah, card is very, very good. I've also got excited for Blood here. I don't know if we really want to play more 3 diffs inside of this deck. It's kind of up to you. I think inside of Toga, this card is just like a little bit better than Excited for Blood.
Yeah, I debated really hard because Excited for Blood is one of my like favorite foundations to play. Any deck that can play it, I just want to jam 4 in there. But like, I think the Blood Evaluation is just a bit too good in Toga 2 to be able to like, and I don't want to put like 6 3 diffs in the deck. I think that, just the Blood Evaluations would be okay. I might end up, changing that out later
Do you think that Excited for Blood would just be better than Super Regen? It's a little bit more heal. Yes, it's a 3-diff. But I mean, 6 3-diffs is not like a terrible number to have. Anything more than that in a 6 hand size character is like a little suspicious.
I mean, like give yourself like that extra 1 card, like make yourself a 7 hand sizer. Plus, like you're at 28 health, so like it's not really going to hurt to lose a few more. And
it's also got like, an actual block mod.
Pretty even, like you should be able to block pretty darn well. So like, I don't think the super regens are crazy important.
Yeah, I think Excited for Blood would just probably put in way more work than regen. It's also got like an actual block mod, right? Also,
also like you can actually block with it.
yeah, I think it's super fine to just try that route.
Yeah.
So next up, we're gonna look at our blue and green cards a little bit. How do you feel about Showdown? I guess it should be my initial question. How do you feel about this card?
I think the card is great. And I really debated on that one. But I think it came down to sort of like the same argument that I had with trying to figure out whether I wanted to run Excited for Blood or not. Like having like a whole bunch of like the 3D stuff. Like, do I want to keep 4 go for the wins and add Showdown in there? Or do I cut back on the Showdowns because... and because I don't know how many actions I would actually want to run in the deck.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's a hard line to balance.
Yeah,
it's a hard line to balance. I think I don't know. For me, if you like have a Showdown symbol, you're maining Showdown. That's kind of how I feel about that card. I think it's like that nuts, but it could also be very like local meta dependent. You know,
right?
You know, are your rivals trying to like Unga Bunga turn to you a lot? Do you need this card to survive that hard? You know, we have like so much speed reduction across the death symbol that I feel like it's really easy to enable this card for a lot of blocking. I think like a 3 go for the win 2 Showdown main board would be really sick.
I can see that. I can see it as a 2 of. I don't think that would really change too much.
It definitely doesn't change a whole lot. Now, like our deck has been fattening up a little bit. We are at 66 cards now, which doesn't make our 20 attacks awful. But honestly, if there were like 2 attacks that you wanted to add in here, I think you totally could. You could bring it up to like a 68 card deck with like 22 attacks. I think Dual Needle Lunge should probably just be out of 4 of.
Yeah,
it is just kind of like our crazy ultra rare that just like we just want to draw this card all day, right? We're talking about like getting our character online. I mean, this is the card that does it right here.
Yeah.
I think you could put in like a 4th of that, and then I think Gory Stab is fine in a 3 of. A 4th Binding Cloth Assault seems pretty easy to get a hold of.
Yeah, I mean I've got those there, so yeah, that'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, this is a little bit like fatter than what we started with, but we've got a lot more options in here. And the great part about this now is you can kind of like actually start playing this and then identifying what a lot of like the weaker tech is, especially like in the foundation lineup. If you play some stuff and you're just like, yeah, this isn't putting in a whole lot of work, you can start cutting it. And then if the deck gets smaller, you can also bring those attack counts back down as well if you do feel like you want to make the deck smaller.
Yeah.
I think we've got like a lot of draw power inside this deck, to be honest, that the 68 card count is really not gonna bother us very much, but I think it's really fine. Our deck is pretty fat as is. I do have a couple assets here if you wanted to talk about those at all. I think this card's really sick for just more free momentum, and I think this card was sick in your original list when we had like a ton of really good things to flip. The cape was going to put in a lot of work, but I don't think we have as many good targets for now. But I think you've got plenty of cards in here at the moment. But if you do feel like you could squeeze in an asset at any point in time, I think Battle Arena is quite good for you.
Yeah, I think Battle Arena is really good, and it's one of the ones I debated on, but I'm not the biggest fan of assets unless they really like put in a ton of work for the game plan, which this one could potentially. But like I said, the list, I was trying to keep the numbers kind of thin. I wasn't trying to make the deck too fat.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if I could find a way to make a few cuts here or there, you know, cut a couple of the foundations, get the attacks back down to 20, maybe put in like 2 battle arenas. I think it would be really good.
Could definitely keep it in mind if some of our tech pieces just kind of end up, you know, not particularly impressing you, if you will, right? But for now, I think this is a great place for you to go and start jamming some games with and kind of just, you know, starting to identify what you do and do not like. I think this character is really cool. She's very interesting. I think figuring out how to make this character work without the one check is a really sick task. And I don't look at this deck list and feel like, you know, we're unplayable just because we don't have Rushing Stab inside of our deck now.
Yeah, but the game's not fun if you're not playing on the hard mode, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be it for our Toga 2 deck on the death symbol. No rushing stabs needed. Big thanks again to Thomas for letting me help him make this deck and for supporting the channel. And if you want an experience just like this, you can check out the Patreon down below for any of my video commission tiers. And while you're down there, I would appreciate some feedback via the like button or comments. And if you want to support the channel even more, the join button can make you a member and gain access to a bunch of perks when I stream. Above all else though, thanks just for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope I can see you in the next one.